Toys R Us apparently is we've ongoing Toys R Us watch after multiple reports we've had on this very show here of bankruptcies.
Right. So they are going to close or sell all of their 700 plus stores in the country.
It sounds like Europe is probably getting a similar deal.
So does that mean that we could buy a store?
I think what are you going to get?
Well, I would assume.
I don't think you can get the franchise anymore.
No.
But like
the inventory?
Do you get the inventory? Do you get the space?
I imagine the inventory, whatever is not sold by the time they close the store, will just be auctioned off.
You definitely can get the space.
Oh yeah,
you can rent the building.
And
you can put a Bed Bath and Beyond in there if you want.
But I'm just saying, like, do you just? So they're just trying to liquidate.
I don't know if they're going to go up to an auction block and be like, Toys R Us 721 in Oaksville, Alabama. Who wants that one? I want it. You get everything inside. Have your own Toys R Us toy run. Enjoy.
As is,
right? We will pay for the person to run the ticket counter to cash in your video games. That's it.
So the only one I want is the one in Sunnyvale that's haunted.
Okay. Oh, cool.
That one's not for sale.
Why is it haunted? How's it haunted?
I forget what there was a thing on TV I remember watching as a kid where they were talking about like haunted locations or whatever, and one of them was a Toys R Us in Sunnyvale, and I was like, I need to go to that Toys R Us.
But we don't know how it came to be haunted.
They say child won the Captain Crunch toy run but never walked out.
I think that that clip is on YouTube somewhere, so if you want to learn about the history of that, by all means. But I don't know. Like, that's the only one I would really want.
He was reaching for the top Lego G.I. Joe toy and collapsed under a pile of garbage.
Mike O'Malley tried to save him. Didn't happen.
When they cleared the pile, nobody was left.
Oh, that's real fucking scary, Vinny.
It's a pretty scary story. That's what I'm here for. This is kind of sad because it could mean up to 33,000 people are out of work.
Oh, geez.
That's a lot of people.
Does this also include
Kids R Us?
Yeah, like Kids R Us, Babies R Us, those kinds of things. Because I think Babies R Us is doing pretty well from what I understand.
I think they are like the number one.
Yeah.
Like baby.
Yeah, I don't think the entire company isn't going away, but it sounds like the majority of their retail location. Yeah, the toy part of that is going away.
Will the websites leave? Is this just like their brick and mortar store?
They haven't said anything, I don't think, about the websites yet. This is mostly just a bummer because it didn't have to be this way. Like it's not just a matter. Like I've seen some stories framing this very much as like, oh, online retail finally is shutting down. The old toy store. The kids. All that. It's like, no, this is happening because Bain Capital bought up a bunch of their debt and then put them further into debt and used them basically as a way to erase some like Bain Capital's own debt.
There was also a lot of fucking shit about them breaking promises for severance and packages for people, and then a judge allowed them to pay out like millions of dollars in bonuses for top executives.
Yeah, so the whole thing is gross.
So, there's that stuff. Whether or not you can justify that in trying to steer a ship from your top executives that have already run the ship aground by giving them bonuses. I've heard that argument be made. I don't side with that argument. I think if you're going to bone over your bread and butter employees like that, I don't know. Use that money differently.
I'm not going to stand here and say that Toys R Us would have definitely withstood the test of time had this not happened, but like I feel like the whole thing became accelerated because of the rather dicey nature of how all this came to be.
Yeah, so they're liquidating. I don't know what that means for the toys that are in a Toys R Us. Is there a Toys R Us warehouse somewhere with old SNES carts and...
No, just the slips of paper.
Yeah. Hey, that's as good as a game. You hand that into the window, you get the game.
Once you had that felt good.
It does.
There'll be tales of like shacks that are still open that will redeem them somewhere.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Go talk to Steve down the Highway 42.
He'll honor it.
There's a whole aisle of Virtual Boy kiosks.
Oh man,
somewhere.
I used to take those and hide them behind the other slips because I knew I'd have the money someday.
I just remember that. I feel like the beginning of the not the last Star Wars movie, the one before that, where she's like going and like she's bringing the scrap to like to get money. It's that guy. It's like a stack of video games behind him.
Totally.
So bummer about Toys R Us.
Yeah, that's sad.
Bummer about 30,000 people possibly being out of work.
Yeah.
I enjoyed going into a Toys R Us to do shopping for kids' birthday parties and stuff like that. It was nice to be in a physical place where you can look and see a toy, like touch and feel a toy. It's sometimes hard to find local toy stores. So kind of push-pull there of Toys R Us was a giant place that put a bunch of local toy stores out of business, but Toys R Us was also a place to go get toys.
And also became a place.
And also, I was a Toys R Us kid, so there's that.
You were.
I was.
Although I never quite got over Jeffrey the giraffe.
Like what?
Just didn't like how he spelled his name.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I like it. There aren't enough of those Jeffreys.
Geoff.
Now you're breaking a friendship.
I think there's enough.
I feel like they always get confused for the other Jeff, so I think they need the representation, Jeff.
Well, I just find it a little goofy that people used to ask me, hey, do you spell that with a G? You pretty much know the answer.
I'm going to tell Jeff Keighley you said
there are
that.
plenty of people who do.
That's why him and I don't get along.
All
What's
right.
that?
There are plenty of people who do, though, and they have to deal with
Are
spell
there
it with a J.
plenty?
I know one.
You know one.
That's the first Jeff I know. So that's...
Wow.
I feel like that's my standard.
These are the Jeffs I know. These are the Jeffs I know.
Oh, boy. Can I read this quote? From,
sure,
by all means.
Please.
Here's a report from, I'm trying to see exactly who this was. CEO David Brandon says, such and such and such, we're going to liquidate this, that, and the other thing. I've always believed that this brand and this business should exist in the U.S. And said of suppliers who abandoned the chain over the holidays, as well as customers who chose to shop elsewhere, they will all live to regret what's happened.
Whoa.
Wow.
Was that a fucking threat?
I don't know what that is.
Mr. Brandon?
Yeah.
What kind of evil fucking toy owner, toy store
Then he
owner are
hopped
you?
away on a pogo ball.
Are you the bad guy from Toys?
Yeah, seriously.
Broke out a skip it. And
Good Lord.
yeah, that's a really, I mean, listen, I'm sure he's going through a tough time.
Like, yeah, I'm sad about this too, but come on, man.
Yeah. They'll live to rue the day.
It also says here that some international stuff is still unknown. So
Yeah.
maybe there'll be Toys R Us somewhere else.